course, it's been a century and a half since we've been here, but there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about and just have a conversation about. And of course, it's been a struggle. But as you guys know, we are first time parents, and time is literally elusive.
Essence.
It is, it's essential, but it's so elusive. It's like our time is just, we have no time for anything. And so that's kind of something that
Yep.
I wanted to kind of bring up and just talk about the real and raw of parenting. And
So where they
so,
started from, my wife, she's been wanting to share her thoughts on social media for a very long time, or just YouTube, just the internet in general. And I keep telling her, record, record, record. So, after I finished recording my podcast, she was telling me about parenting, and like she really wanted to, she expressing her thoughts to me, and I said, how about you save that? You're very passionate about it right now, and just press record. Just do it. So this is our real thoughts, because there's a lot of things I'm sure being a mom going to come into this conversation, but there's a lot of um, there's no support for what happens after you give birth. What happens after the child's first 1, 2, 3 years? You know, social media and movies glamatize it, and you just think it's time skips. Like, yeah, my baby is 6 months today. Tomorrow I wake up and she's a year and everything's better.
yeah.
I can sleep through it. No, it's not like that. So yeah, how was your?
I think I'm a perfect reflection of a parent that doesn't have like, so everybody talks about the glam and the great of parenting. And so the reason why I wanted to record was because I wanted to give you guys just the rawness of parenting, the struggles, and how it's really not perfect and it's not glamorous. And as you can see, I'm not like your average mom. I don't have my nails done. My
Or her
hair looks
ring on?
like, I really don't. I was cooking.
All
I
day, every day.
actually no. I took it off so that I could put the baby to sleep, and I didn't want to rub lotion on the
All day,
diamonds.
every day.
Anyway, I had
Even
it
with my
on.
diamond one, so saying.
Anyway, you're annoying. Like, obviously, they know we're married.
Do they? Do they know? No. It just says Snow Legends. They don't know they're married. They might think we're watching Game of Thrones.
Anyway, so as you can see, I don't have makeup on. I'm not trying to hide my imperfections because this is literally a reflection of me, um, real and raw. And so I have acne. I don't have my hair as perfect as I used to, as you saw in my previous list of videos that I've created before. And so it's just a lot. Like, I was just telling and reflecting to him before that, it really sucks that parents don't talk about it enough. Like, for example, time for us is very difficult for us to kind of grasp. It's like very difficult for us to get our hands on. Especially like we have an 18-month-old who is so spontaneous, and it's great. She's learning so much, she's curious, she's climbing things, doing things she's not supposed to be doing. And of
I
course,
mean, she's supposed to be doing that.
I
She's
mean,
being
yes,
adventurous. She's learning.
but
I don't think it's a wrong thing. It's a bad thing.
it's
It's
a
just
dangerous thing. And by that I mean like she's climbing chairs and getting on top of the table of our dining room
she's being a
table.
child. Not
It's
to
all
not
very
to
normal.
undermine
No,
your
no, it's
your
you're
point of
right.
view.
You're right.
It's
She's being
just
absolutely normal, and if she weren't doing this, I'd be concerned. But there's also the piece that I'm working full time, remote, and I do have to take care of her, as I'm working, and it's hard to do both.
what my wife is trying to say is that, let's say she wasn't working, you still have to be 100% attentive to your child. You can't be sitting here on your phone or watching something or hopefully trying, like, oh, let me use the bathroom, let me make myself breakfast. No, you have to be 100% attentive, because like she said, our daughter climbs things. So 1 second to turn around and she's upstairs already. It's great that she's
Halfway
learning how to
upstairs.
climb and everything,
Yeah.
but you still have that level of doubt. Like, she might look back and be like, ha ha ha, and then fall backwards. She's on a chair, she might hurt her head. Granted, kids do fall, but you want to mitigate that fall, and you want to make sure they do fall. It's on some type of cushion. You want them to understand pain. You want them to understand cause and effect, but in some way, in a little bit of a bubble. Like you want the pain, but you don't want it to be like hospital pain.
But
But
honestly, she doesn't learn from falling and hurting herself because she'll
because she
continuously
don't
do
feel it,
it.
that's another thing. She probably
I
got a
mean,
thick head.
and well, besides that, I think she's just a really tough girl. Like she will
She's
trip
like her
and
dad.
fall. She'll whine for 2 seconds, and then she's going on about her day, and she'll go ahead and do it again. And so I'm like, all right, is that what we're doing? Okay, just go ahead and roll about it then. But just going back to like the spontaneity. Like for example, let's say if we wanted to, you know what, tonight, like let's spend time together, let's watch a movie or
Perfect example. Saturday from this recording, which is like I don't know I don't know, the 28th or some shit. Anyway, I usually Saturday nights. That's my time to play video games, to hang out with the boys, so to speak, online,
right.
virtually. So I already had a plan to play Call of Duty. So I'm like, yeah, give me a few. So then my daughter decides, haha, daddy, today's not the night for you. So she did not want to go to sleep. I did everything I could. I gave her the milk. I rocked her. We all have our methods of trying to put her to sleep. My mom included. And me, I'm laying back with her in the recliner chair, and I'm just, moving her like this. And usually she goes to sleep. But that night she did not. She was playing my ear. She was playing games, playing peekaboo. And then when I get her to sleep, put her to bed, she automatically knew when I left. And it was all actually no, I'm not wrong. That was a whole nother night. What happened was she went to sleep perfectly fine. Around 11 o'clock, when our time was up because you were tired, you want to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go play around, be showered and everything, whatever. She wakes up. I'm like, don't worry, babe. I got it. I'll take care of it. It should be a cinch. Stupid me, right? So I, I do what I try to do. I change the diaper because her diaper is filled. Something parents should do if your baby has a thick diaper, change it because if they sleep in another 8-10 hours, that's a lot of pee that's just sitting there. You know what I mean? But anyway, just getting long story short, she didn't want to go to sleep. It took me from 11 o'clock till 3 in the morning that I ended up falling asleep on the floor for her to fall asleep, and by then my whole night was shot. It was time to wake up and go to sleep for the next morning to do shit for Sunday. But you always think that things are granted, like, oh, my baby always goes to sleep, she sleeps through the night. But there's always that one day when you think everything's set up and it doesn't work out, and you get stressed out, and it's hard because you had a long week. You're really looking forward to that one Saturday night to really alleviate your stress, and then that's added on to more stress, and then it's you know there's no mental health sort of thing that you'll see on the mainstream that helps. Like, you can't relate
Everyone
to
talks
anybody.
about self-care, right? Oh, make sure you're taking care of yourself, mom, dad. Make sure and then that's another thing. Like when you have children, it's kind of like your focus on marriage kind of dissipates. And by that I mean like we kind of forget to care about our marriage.
We haven't gone out. We just recently went out last month on a date,
Yeah,
on
and
an
it was for our
anniversary.
our wedding anniversary, and like we just made it super important for us to at least have that time. And so, like I said, like let's say we plan something to do together one night, and we have
Together, not with the baby,
right,
obviously.
right. So just as a couple, as we're married, but then our daughter has different plans. She's just like, oh no, if you guys would have thought y'all would have some alone time, no, 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 no. And so that's where it gets hard, right? Because then we become frustrated and it starts
Especially
to
when it's just
build
us
up.
two. We don't have outside help.
Right.
My mom's not always here, and even if she was, you still feel that type of
We
wow.
feel guilty, like,
It's
oh, why are we
she
just
already went through.
dumping our daughter
Yeah,
on like the grandma?
she
We don't
already
want to
went
do
through this
that.
right there. It's good for one night, maybe one or two, but it's our thing. And then you feel guilty, and you're just like, well, you don't need to feel guilty, but you feel guilty, and it's hard to find that self care.
Yeah, so self care to me, so I used to know what self care was, right? I used to deep condition my hair. I used to do my own gel manicure. I used to go out, get my eyebrows done. I used to go out with my friends and spend just a Friday, Saturday night with them, have dinner. Like that to me was self care. And now, like I've become so distant from my friends, not by choice, but because I prioritize parenting over myself, right? And so self-care, like all this talk about self-care, and I literally, maybe because I haven't gotten into the groove yet after 18 months, who knows? But there are moms out there that I know personally who have time to go to the salon, who have time to sit there and get their nails and their toes done on like every 3 weeks. They have time to go get their eyebrows done. They have time to go out with friends. I don't I'm like, how do you guys have that kind of time? Like, sure, maybe they have a babysitter, or but then I'm like, what, how am I gonna do that? Because it's hard to find people to take care of an 18-month-old who's super like all over the place. And then I feel guilty because we know our daughter and she's a handful, and for us to just be like, here, just take our kid for the whole day, is it's really
She's a
hard.
handful to anybody that's not us. Because
Yeah,
even
because
we know more or
we
less how
know
to,
exactly.
obviously with the parents, you know.
Right. We know her patterns. We know exactly if she's too quiet. We
But
already know where she is.
it's also that other type of thing that goes unnoticed. You're so attached to your child. Can you be okay with leaving them with a child care or anybody you don't know? It's hard. Like
It's
you,
challenging.
it's
So
like I don't want to do that. What's they doing? What they doing?
we
What?
had a difficult time just even talking about daycare makes us a little shaken up because we're like, how can we really be sure that these perfect strangers are going to be watching our child, and I personally would love for
Like
our daughter to interact with other kids, and I try to encourage that. I take her to the park whenever we're in the grocery store. You know, kids are naturally attracted to kids. Like, they're like, oh
yeah.
my god, a child. And so I think what's really scary is when parents have to trust a complete stranger to say, here, take my kid so that I can work full time. And
It's not saying we don't have the capacity, we don't have the place for it, because we do have resources for a daycare that's within the family, but it's the things outside of it, because now you have to consider, you know, the travel time and all those other things when it comes to social. Not for us, it's just for the child. You know what I mean?
yeah, so
It's
I
a
mean,
lot
a
of
2 hour commute is just a
so
lot.
then when you, that's where you know it's coming with the whole the stranger part. Like you want to go somewhere local, it's like, can I trust it? Especially now when our daughter can't convey messages like, hey dad,
She
this
can't
happened,
communicate.
or
Like, she communicates non-verbally, so she hasn't been able to kind of
yes, but I
say,
can't be like, hey Ariadne,
how was your
what happened,
day?
how was your day, blah 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 blah, not even that.
She'll
That's
look at
it.
us like, er?
Or like, hey, pick me up, shut up, you
Yeah,
know,
pick me
like
up and just cuddle me. I
let's
don't
just go home
care.
type of stuff. Like you don't know unless he starts communicating. And that's a struggle that I don't know if a lot of parents notice or, you know, see with. I keep mentioning mainstream because that's what we consume all day on Netflix and all that stuff. But you know, it's not normatized that there is a fear. It's like, oh yeah, just put your child in daycare. It's all good. You go out, have fun. You know, they
Yeah.
have that in the gym and stuff like that. Or you work out.
And put your
No,
child
it's
in like the so I don't know if it, and it could not be us. I don't know if we're like overprotective or what, but I think our love for our daughter is so strong that we can't simply just hand her off. And maybe that will change after we have another child. Who knows?
maybe I'll change after she starts talking.
That too. And I don't, again, I don't know if that has anything to do with being overprotective. But anyway, I the point of me wanting to kind of get on here was for me to talk about the struggles of lack of sleep. You know, after we got into the groove of, okay, now she's a year, she's sleeping 12 hours, sometime even 14 hours, and we're like, I wake up before and I'm like, damn, is she good? Let me just check on her. Is she breathing? And I mean, she's already a year. And so things like that. And then
Well, not to skip that, the first 3 months was the worst in my opinion.
what
I
you
feel
mean?
like when you
First
kind
three
of
months of life.
the first 3 months of our child's life, I feel like
Yeah.
once you kind of get over that hump, you kind of get into the groove of things. But like the first 3 months, especially the first day, I remember my wife is knocked out, which is fine. She was a long ass labor, but I couldn't stop staring at my child. Like, are you awake? Are you breathing? Like, I mean, like, yo, how you guys are not worried about it? What if she? Because then you tell me, oh, she might. We got to put in this angle because she might vomit in her sleep and then choke herself. I'm like, I ain't going to sleep then. Like, you could sleep, but like I can't sleep, and I'm here staring. I'm like, I only fell asleep because my eyes got so heavy that I just couldn't stay up. Like I
Yeah,
literally
we were
just
up for hours.
like there was a time that because of being so sleep deprived, we had to get she had like most babies have jaundice in the beginning. You know, some have higher levels, some have lower levels. But we was doing a test to see where she was at. And I remember that day, my wife's like, "Hey, babe, you've been handling a lot of the stuff because you couldn't handle blood and needles, so I took." I was with doctors and stuff, but my wife was in the back. But this time she said, "Don't worry, it was not that crazy. You handle it." I was like, "Okay." So I'm in the back of
We're in the same
in
office,
the
but he
exam
was
room.
standing, leaning up against like a.
No, I wasn't even leaning. I was
Oh,
just
you were just
standing.
standing.
I was just standing, and I'm like, I was snoring, standing up snoring, and my wife
Yeah,
was
and
like,
I'm
"Giovanni,"
like,
I'm
"Babe,
like,
wake
"What?"
up! The nurse is taking blood out the baby. Like, what are you
And I
doing?"
was knocked out, and like, in the first 3 months, especially without any help, and especially the best part is that I was able to stay home for my job because I had enough time to do that. If you gotta go to work, that's a whole nother animal that we're not gonna discuss about because we never really went through that.
I mean, I remember the first week you went back to work, the baby was screaming, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna just lay here. I went through everything. I literally went down the list of things that could have gone wrong or of things that she could want.
Hungry,
She didn't
diaper,
want
itchy. What's
anything.
up? You
I
want
said, you know
attention,
what?
cuddling?
I'm just gonna call him and I'm just gonna say, you need to hear this with me because I can't be here by myself listening to this while I'm still very much achy everywhere and I don't know why she's screaming. So I just had him on speaker and he's trying to console her and talk to her and she's there screaming her head off. I'm like, well then, girlfriend, we just gonna lay here together and we just gonna cry together because I mean, I don't know what else
I
to
mean,
do.
now I think we're just gonna be like, all right, I'm going to bed. Like, you could cry all you want. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. Let's try to
I
be.
mean, we've done the
But
whole cry it out method, even though it pains us to let her cry it out because this little girl is
she
resistant to sleep,
she can be
literally.
up 4 hours. And we're talking about recent. We tried it. She was up for 4 hours crying all night, and she was so tired that she was using one leg at a time to stay up
To hold
to keep
herself
crying.
up.
Like, hey, you guys coming? Like, hey, you guys coming? Until she was like, I'm too tired. Like, my legs are giving out. I
She
think she
would like
worked out that day.
her knees were like caving, and I'm like, just lay down and go to sleep.
At
And
least
she
cry
was,
sitting down. At least
she literally like had her head resting on the railing like this. And then she wake up because she's like, "Oh my god, I'm still awake. I'm still standing. Why?" And then she go,
But
like what?
if
Just it's
you
things
could,
like that, like having to stay up for all these hours, even though we don't have her in our arms. We're literally listening to her, watching her scream and cry for no reason. She's got a clean diaper. She's fed. There's no reason why you should be awake.
yeah. So I understand. You know, the first 3 months is hard. You could be depressed. You might want to kill yourself. You know what I mean? That's a real thing. I'm not saying that to be. I had moments. Not like literally I want to kill myself, but I was like, oh fuck, I want to kill myself type of shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Because I was
remember you
so
saying
stressed
like,
out.
"Babe, I can't do this anymore. Can you please take her?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to take turns because
Yeah, it's stressful.
it gets to that point, and it sucks because not a lot of people want to admit that, and I'm admitting it. It freaking sucks. Parenting sucks. It's beautiful, you know. Our baby girl is sweet. She's the sweetest baby, and she recognizes when like we're upset and she's doing something that she's again not supposed to be doing, like putting things in her mouth that she's not supposed to be putting in her mouth. And then when we say don't put that in your mouth, she comes over and gives us a kiss or she hugs us like with such remorse, like I'm so sorry. She doesn't say sorry, but she demonstrates that
That's
she's
the rewarding
sorry.
part of it.
It's rewarding. There's a lot of things that are rewarding. When she laughs, when she has these specific
When
laughs
she
to make
says
fun
dad,
of
dad
us,
only.
you know, just for the record, she said mama 4 months old. Okay?
Okay. Well,
Four
what she
months.
says now, dad, dad. That's it.
Yeah, she totally forgot
It's not about what
who
you said
I
in the
am.
past. It's what you say
I'm
now.
just now I just become chopped liver.
Always.
And
Daddy's
then
little girl. You already know.
she just everything is just you.
Yeah. When I'm not here.
Just screw me
But
right
when I'm
now.
not here, she's on top of you all the time.
Anyway.
But anyway, another part we wanted to make this video because we have a lot of family members that said, "Yo, it's hard. this shit is hard. The first 3 months or the first year
famous
or
quote,
whatever.
people don't talk about it enough. So here it is.
So then tell the
Parenting
people what is
sucks.
it that you would like people to know that you exactly. Why did you say people don't talk about it? What was the things that people don't talk about it a lot? Like examples, like what is
The very first
for
thing
you?
that people don't talk about is, and so everybody talks about the sleep deprivation, right? Everybody says, oh, sleep now, because when the baby's here, you will not sleep ever again. So I feel like people say it in a joking way. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way because sleep deprivation is real. And though it's not only just the sleep deprivation, why doesn't anybody say it's so bad, like you're so sleep deprived that you start thinking these crazy things, right? Like, why am I even here? What day is it? Oh my goodness, did I eat today? Did I
It's 3 in the morning.
shower? What time is it? Like, you think the most craziest things, and you're like, how did I even get here?
I mean, you could go far into the deep end, saying like, I could end my life right here, right now.
Well,
That
there
train
are
is coming. I'm just
moments.
gonna jump in front of it.
There are moments where
You
you're
know?
like so exhausted that you literally want to just melt away. You want to just melt away because your brain is fried. You have to work in the morning, and you're just like, oh my goodness, how is this even how is this happening?
Like
You feel like you're being tortured, like you're like somebody's slowly torturing you, and you're like, I feel like I'm gonna go crazy.
I feel like it takes a person who has somewhat of a good upbringing, not really a good upbringing, but I think someone who has a strong mental capacity of love that gets you through the hump. Because without love, I don't think a lot of people would fight through it. You may have those suicidal thoughts. You may want to, do harm to the baby thoughts. But it's more like I love this child so much that yes, I'm feeling like this, but I'm gonna get through it. It's like you catch yourself real quick, like, oh, I can do it right now. What do you mean?
Like, why am I even thinking that? Oh
Because
my
the
gosh,
love
that's
is there.
terrible.
But if you don't have that love, or at least the support with family members, I can see why a lot of people either do harm to their child, leave their child, or just drop them in front of like, fire department
Yeah.
or whatever
You
those
have to have
facilities.
a strong mind. You have to be
You have to be also, like I said,
fully
from love.
committed, like fully committed in every aspect that there can be to parenting. Like, it's so great, like, oh, I'm pregnant, everyone's so happy for you, and you've planned for this for however long, and children are really a blessing. They're your legends. These are little people that you created from your own flesh and blood, from your DNA. But it comes to a point where you have to literally pray a lot. I can't even tell you how much I prayed in those moments where I'm just like, I literally just want to melt away and become ash. Like, at those moments, I'm like, Lord, please just get me through this night because I feel like I'm going to lose myself at any point. And so I want you to know that if you ever feel like that at any point, it's okay to feel guilty, but you have to remember that you are only human. And these little mini yous are so dependent on you that they don't know anything else but you. And as much as you struggle to parent, to be the best mom, to be the best dad, you can only do what you can. I'm very guilty of that. I'm like, today I got very angry and I raised my voice. And I tell her, like, she may not understand me, but
You
I said, I'm
did?
very
When?
sorry. Huh?
When?
I raised my voice out, and I tell you when I raised my
Today?
voice. No.
Oh, she said today. I was like, red
No,
flag
not
over here. Like,
today.
hello.
No, like, I raised my voice, and I'm like, stop doing that. Like, she continues to try and get up the stairs. And so I raised my voice because I'm like, this is a danger to you. And as much as I try to put all of these barriers, she figures out a way through it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I'm never, like, this is great that you're learning and you're puzzling your way through, but my goodness, this is dangerous. Like, you're really going to hurt yourself. And that's why I get frustrated, because as much as you try to keep your child safe, they're going to do otherwise. But anyway,
That's your frustration, though.
that is my frustration.
I don't have that frustration.
I have frustration also because of, like, every night before I go to bed, I pray that she stays asleep throughout the whole night.
That's my frustration when she doesn't want to go to she doesn't want to go to bed.
In the
That
middle of the night when she wakes
yeah,
up?
when she wakes up and I come, I'm like, all right, I'm trying to put you back, and she's like, I know you're leaving me, and that to a point I'd be like, go to bed. And then she looks at me like, I'm like, go to bed. And then she lays down, she starts laughing. I'm like, listen, I can stay here, but you're gonna go to bed. I'm not rocking you. Like I get to a point that I try and try and try and I get so upset. Like you know what? We're both gonna suffer. You're gonna put yourself to bed, and I'm gonna put myself to bed on the floor.
Yeah.
Like I don't like I said, like when she starts crying, it's her cries is like home, like it's some next level, like she's being tortured. So I rather like you know what? I'll be in the same room as you. I won't put you to bed. You put yourself to bed, which may be doing harm, but I'm just like at a distance away.
Yeah.
And
I also feel like a lot of it is, as parents, we sacrifice so much. Like, we sacrifice sleep, we sacrifice literally every ounce of our being to this little mini person.
except
And
food, I just buy extra.
yeah, I mean, it's just that, like, nobody, and then that's another thing, too. Like, not a lot of people realize that you do sacrifice a lot when you become parents. And sometimes you're not ready for that. And sometimes you become ready in the process. And you start to slowly accept things. I know you have a lot to say about
I don't
that.
have a lot to say. I'm actually asking you a question because I
Go
don't want
ahead.
to. I want you to be more specific.
Specific.
That word, so people can understand. I don't generalize things. So my question to you, so you can explain the struggles with sleep deprivation with breastfeeding, because there was a lot of times when you had to feed the baby. It was every 3 hour, 2 hour. There's sometimes where they say wake the baby up to feed, and then some others like just let the baby sleep, and you get these conflicting thoughts. In my opinion, and I'm gonna get back to you. Do whatever you feel is right for your child. If your child wants to sleep, let your child sleep. That's when they grow. Just feed them when they wake up. That was how I saw the approach with our child. At least
we did that a lot. Like, and I felt validated when you said, "Babe, just let her sleep, and like whenever
yeah,
she's hungry, she'll wake up."
exactly.
And so that kind of eased my mind a little bit.
But I want you to talk about the sleep deprivation with the breastfeeding part, especially when you're not feeding the baby and you still have to wake up to pump. Because God forbid if you miss a pumping session, your shit is all bricked up. It's hard. I have
Hurts.
to. It hurts. I have to massage, and
Yeah.
that's something that's not
It
talked
was a
about. They say,
struggle.
"Oh, you're glowing. You're breastfeeding. Your hair looks magnificent. All these vitamins," but no one talks about. Yeah, but I'm only sleeping maybe 5 minutes a day. Like, cause then you struggle to go back to sleep. You have that trauma. Like, is my child awake? You hear the crying. So I want you to tell people how was, your experience.
My experience with
Yeah,
breastfeeding. So breastfeeding for me was not as beautiful as I expected it to be. And by that I mean this is underspoken about as well. Not many people talk about it. They only talk about, oh my goodness, I'm gonna post a picture of how beautiful I look nursing my kid. First of all, bro, my nipples were broken. They were literally falling off.
Yeah, they were
like,
bleeding.
Skin just my
Skin
whole
was
nipple.
chapped
All right.
off.
Like, I had slits. Like, just picture a blade, like a literal
I want to picture
blade,
that.
and you just slice your nipples and
that
like
hurts.
10
Not there,
different, 15 maybe different slits.
Other places.
That is a pain. Together, all bundled up in a nice little present with your vagina being broken if you had a natural birth like myself.
Or if you had a C-section and now you have to deal with that pain.
Well, yeah, because then that's something else. You can't bend down. You're feeling like so much discomfort. I can't speak for a C-section because I don't know what that feels like. I can only speak for natural. But yes, that is something that I hear a lot about, that it's very difficult. You can't even carry your own child because it's painful. But for my experience, breastfeeding, oh my goodness, I couldn't latch her onto my breast as much as I wanted to because it was just more convenient. I could not latch her onto my breast because my breasts were my nipples more specifically were so broken. Like, the skin was broken. And so that was truly, truly so painful. And that made me cry often. What made me cry even more is that I had to wake up. My body woke me up. My breast, more specifically, woke me up every 2 hours to the minute to pump. So even when my husband was asleep, he's dead asleep, like knocked out. Baby, I look over at her, she's out. And here I am attaching the pump
That's what I
for
hear,
for
the
15
machine.
minutes. And then I'm trying so hard to stay awake because God forbid I doze off a little bit, milk spills everywhere.
Oh, you overpump, right? Is there such thing as overpumping?
Yeah, there kind of is, but the pump automatically stops at 30
Oh,
minutes. It
okay.
depends on which pump you have. You should really get a good pump. Anyway, not the point. The point is that it sucked.
If you had to recommend a pump.
And your nipples are useless, and mine were very useful, except they hurt. And yeah.
I was saying if you had to recommend a pump that.
Oh, the Medela Freestyle was the one that I was using. The one that was hand.
Your insurance should help you out with that.
Yeah, but just do your own research.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was hard. I mean, you saw me. I used to cry all the time.
I used to help massage
because
when you skip a session.
Hurt. I would literally be like, babe, if I put my arm down, it hurts. Like, just do something because I feel bruised. Like, and then he would massage and like all the clogged. That's another thing. Clogged milk ducts.
That hurts too. You feel it.
It feels like a lump.
Yeah.
Like a legit ball, like a golf ball in your breast, and you're just like, ah. How do I please do something? But anyway, yeah, so it was bad. It was pretty bad. And my vagina was broken for a long time. I couldn't sit for too long.
Not by me.
I couldn't walk. Shut up. I couldn't walk down the stairs like at my regular pace. I had to take one step at a time.
You also deal with for females body transformation. Your body's not the same as it used to be before you was pregnant and then afterwards. And that's something that's and then it's such a horrible misconception when you see these Instagram fitness models who bounce back, but a lot of people are not seeing, or maybe they don't say, or they barely talk about it. They have surgery that has been done. Even though they work out and their body is fit before, your body can change dramatically. I'm only speaking from my wife's experience, and I'm only saying this because when you see these models, they have some type of plastic surgery. They have something, or they have the means that help them to not deal with that type of stress. Like, and I'm going with the support system. You know, we're talking from average people that the entire world is, not what you see on social media. Like, we had to go through it. You know, my wife deal with depression of her body changing. Because you know what happened. I mean, for females, I mean, I can't speak, but
I see that's something underspoken too. Nobody ever talks about how your body physically changes, and so the amount of
emotion and internally too, like hormonal as well.
Internally,
sorry,
vaginally, like your breasts. So I didn't know that your breasts become all like different after you stop nursing. I'm like, I thought my boobs were gonna be right back to before I had the baby. No, not at all.
So if you see females like that, they something. Yeah,
no,
not 100%, but there is.
Well, I remember the first 2 weeks postpartum. The first 2 weeks, I didn't even let you see me naked. No. I'm like, I need help showering, but I don't want you to see me, so I'm just gonna do it myself.
Like Bird Box.
Yeah, like in the hospital, like the nurses even, they're like, oh, if you need help bathing, like just let us know. And I'm like, I don't even want to look at myself right now because I feel like an empty vessel, and I looked so different that it did depress me because I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what I look like now. I feel like I went to war and came back a whole different person.
Like you lost a limb. Yeah, or like you woke up from a coma, you just suddenly gained 300 pounds.
Yeah,
not the same thing, because
obviously not the same thing.
Just the mental, like this is what I used to be, and this is what I am now. My mobility, I can't do this. I used to do this.
Dragon you have to accept. You're like, I'm never gonna be that person again. And so you can either look at it in a negative perspective or you can look at it in a positive perspective. Right now, I'm still in that negative phase because I haven't learned to accept that yet. But you know, I'm gonna say with time, because I can't say month to month I'll get better because it's still a struggle for me. But that is definitely something that's not spoken about often. Your body changes in ways that you are like, wow, this is who I am now. And
another thing unspoken, and this is from the men's side. The men don't really get that support system. It's always that traditional mindset, like you can handle it. Why are you complaining? When at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that goes through our brains. You know, you want to be home, but you have to go to work, right? So then you're hearing your wife go through these things, and you're like, I can't be there. And then when you get home, it's like you're not doing enough. Not saying you said that, but you can feel it. Maybe you have said it because you're so stressed out. They're like, oh, I'm doing so much that what do you do? It's a balancing act. But men, like, you don't hear that from men. You gain weight because you're so stressed out. You can't work out. You can't do half the things. You can't enjoy anything. Even now, I'm still trying to find time to spend time with my wife, spend time with myself. Assuming that you have to go to work, that's travel time included. That whole mental stress of just like, oh, you can handle it all, don't worry about it. Why are you complaining for? No, like, there's a lot of shit that, you going to a therapist. I mean, I don't have a therapist. I'm just saying that going to see a therapist, it's very good. It's not a, like, I don't want to curse. It's just only where I don't think curse words or.
It's not a negative thing to do. I think it's important.
You're not being a B or a P, or you know what I mean. Well, not P because that's, but but you're not. Yeah,
I think it's important for everyone to seek help and professional help, not just to, oh yeah, I have a best friend who I tell everything to. That best friend, I guarantee you, is not going to relate in a lot of things because what you're going through, the other person
and you
is
guys
not going
grow
to
up
go
culturally
through.
through the same thing, so your mind is the same. You're really talking to them, not to be disrespectful or anything, but the way I see it, sometimes you're talking to a mirror. It's not
Yeah.
until you speak to someone who has the experience, who's above you, who has been through it like 10 years ago. Be like they can help you the transitioning because that's your
Once they have
mentor.
already, like,
That's like your mentor. They have kids
accepted all
already.
the
Yeah.
changes, yeah, like, and they have gone through and how they've been able to move forward and kind of move past all of these struggles. That's what you need. You need someone who is non-biased, who's neutral, who's able to provide the support that you need, not just someone who's gonna say like, yeah girl, I totally get it.
Like anybody having a kid now could hit us up because we're about to hit 2 years, so it's like we have
We are
some
no,
knowledge.
we ain't no professionals though.
No, we have 2 year knowledge. That's it.
Our 2 year
We'll give you our
level knowledge.
we'll give you what happened our first year and etc. We're here. The baby survived, right? The baby's alive. You
She
didn't
made
die
it this
though.
far.
That's what I'm saying. She's healthy. She's growing. She's really tall. You know.
She's a happy baby. Oh my gosh, she's
Yeah.
such a happy baby. And
That,
she
and that's something you
literally,
can't teach.
yeah,
That's just your
that's
baby.
just her personality. And anyway,
Um. Yeah.
I think I obviously want to dabble a little bit more about other things, but I feel like that's
This
a
is an intro right
conversation.
now.
Yeah,
Part 2 is coming out soon. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know.
we'll
Recording
see.
tomorrow.
We'll see, because right now it's heck late, and we have
Well,
to
I'm
work
off
in the
tomorrow,
morning.
so.
Well, I have to work in the morning.
But you see, the perfect example. Before we cap this, we have to stretch out our time to record something to share it. And that's something that we wanted to do just so people can feel that type of to see it. Hopefully this becomes mainstream in a way that people can also feel it and be like, wow, I'm not the only one.
And that was the point of me.
Yeah.
Because for a very long time, I felt like I was the only one. And that was truly such a struggle for me because I felt like nobody else understood what I was going through. And everybody, until you go and you reach out on social media, right? Because there's so many other people out there that have multiple children who have just one child, and they don't ever talk about how raw and real things can really get. I can talk about details on for days and days and days, but I'm not trying to keep you here for a bit longer.
Yes.
But
that's why this will be in this will be in parts.
Right.
Like, comment, subscribe, obviously. But the reason why I'm saying that is so you can hit us up and ask questions so we can bring into the next episode. And if you have stories, just DM her on the side.
Yeah,
And
just let me know.
she'll share it on
I'm
her
more than happy
side.
to share. I'll talk about it. So you just let me know. Just talk about it. I want to talk about it. I don't want people to feel alone like I did because it was so hard. And it's still very hard. I'm just learning how to deal with it and trying to cope as best way that I can. but it should be spoken about. And it's not to scare you. It's not to scare any mom out there that hasn't had a child and that's planning. It's not to scare you. It's just so that you can see the reality of it. And I don't want you to keep thinking that parenting is so glamorous. It's not. It freaking sucks, and it's hard. It's difficult. It's challenging. It's something that keeps you on your toes. Lord have mercy. All every day. Every day.
Were you born in the South?
You know my voice changes all the time.
Part 2.
Coming up.